By the time you've watched this reel, this man's net worth will have increased by this much. Meet Bernard Arnault, the world's richest man and founder of luxury retailer LVMH. Alongside buddy Jeff Bezos, he's expected to become a trillionaire within the next decade, while workers in LVMH brand supply chains earn poverty wages. A $5 dress is a sign of a broken fashion industry, but surely so is this $300 million super yacht belonging to Zara's founder. These billionaires built their wealth on the exploited labour of garment workers. That's why this Living Wage Day we're calling for living wages for all, not wealth for a few. A living wage isn't a privilege, it's a fundamental human right, which means workers can afford to provide for themselves and their families' basic needs, things like food, housing, education and healthcare, and still have savings for when the unexpected happens. But the current fashion system is defined by greed. Cheap labour costs maximise profits, lining the pockets of shareholders, not workers. Big fashion brands constantly want more for less and threaten to take their business elsewhere if their demands aren't met. This deep power imbalance discourages governments from improving labour rights, factories from negotiating a better price, and workers from speaking out. Let's get billionaires out of fashion, because there's no wage justice without a redistribution of power and money into the hands of the millions of people who make our clothes. Hit the repost button if you agree.